Rin and Seri Brawl Deck Tech. Hey everyone, it's VM Campos, Magic Fan. I've got a new deck tech video for you. Everyone's favorite cat and dog amalgamation, Rin and Seri. People are going nuts over this. It's a cat and dog commander for your Brawl or Commander decks. So my deck tech right here is going to show you how to make a great deck full of vicious cats and dogs, cute vicious cats and dogs that will really overpower your opponent. Let's check it out. Alright, so I've got my Arena account booted up right here. Brawl, of course, can be made in paper, but it really is the best on digital in Arena because then you're able to craft these cards and play with more people. Sometimes it's hard to convince your real-life play group to play Brawl. They'd rather play Commander because it doesn't rotate. So there's the pros and cons of that, but Brawl on Arena is amazing. You should really be on this. So let's look at the deck. I first put this deck together when I was part of the Early Access Streamer event. Thanks, Wizards of the Coast, for making me a part of that, where me and like 700 other streamers were playing Core Set 2021, and right away when I saw this card spoiled, I'm like, I need to make a Brawl deck out of this. And here it is. So here's the version of this deck. Now, the deck, of course, has Rin and Seri as the commander. This is a dog cat. It's a 4/4. I really think Wizards missed the boat by not calling it a cat dog, just like that old classic cartoon. Is the 90s classic? I guess so. That was 30 years ago, right? So this is a 4 mana in Naya colors, so that's red, white, and green. You get a 4/4 legendary dog cat. Whenever you cast a dog spell, create a 1/1 green cat. Whenever you cast a cat spell, create a 1/1 white dog creature token. So you're making more critters as you summon critters. And guess what? This deck is full of critters. Then, when you have 3 of the Naya colors, tap it. Rin and Seri deals damage to any target equal to the number of dogs you control. You gain life equal to the number of cats you control. So, by itself, Rin and Seri can do a 1 damage, because it's a dog and a cat. It can do 1 damage to anything. That little, 1/1 mana dork is done. You could put the final point of damage to their planeswalker that they minus down, or 1 damage to the opponent. Obviously, it does better when you've got more cats and dogs on the field. And I've been able to consistently do a lightning bolt every single time. Just 2 other dogs plus Rin and Seri, and it does 3 damage to anything. And then gains some amount of life, that at least 1 life from itself, and then more life from other things. So I love this ability here and the synergy. So let's look at the rest of the deck. Now, first of all, we're going to talk about ramp and mana base and fixing and all of that. One of the important concepts to really understand in a Brawl deck is getting your mana base right. So first we have these mana rocks. These are artifacts that will help get you more mana faster than your opponent. We've got a few of these. So we've got the Arcane Signet. This is like an auto-include in Brawl. I weep when this will rotate away, but it'll be a little while until then. 2 mana. Tap it to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's identity. You want to get this like in your opening hand if you can. If you have to mulligan once, maybe twice to get this, great, because then that'll fully accelerate you to get you all the colors that you need. And this is a 3-color deck, so you've got to really craft the mana base, and you want to drop this on turn 2. We've got more in the 3 drops. Again, this is the only 2 mana in Standard Brawl. If you're playing in Historic Brawl right here, you need Mind Stone. It doesn't give you any color mana, but it does get you 1 mana faster than your opponent. And if you're also in Historic, you could do Pillar of Origins. In the 3 drops, we have Chromatic Lantern. This is going to fix all your mana producing issues. All your lands will be able to tap for any color. Beautiful. Auto-include in 3 colors and up. Plus itself taps for 1. Mana Geode, 3 mana, taps for any color. And a Scry, so you get to see what's coming up next. You like it, leave it on the top of your library. If you don't, put it at the bottom. And here's a new mana rock to consider. Palladium Mirror. This is going to be an honorary member of the cat dog family here because it's a creature, an artifact creature. It's a mirror. It's a 3 mana 2/2, but tap it to give you 2 colorless mana. This can further help accelerate you even faster past your opponent, 3 mana for 2. Now the downside, of course, that it is a creature, so it dies to removal, it dies to board wipes and such, whereas your other mana rocks have to have specific destroy artifact type of spell. But I've been using the mirror here, and I think it's working very well. One more mana rock to consider, which I don't have in this deck, is not really a mana rock. It's Smothering Tithe. That's the enchantment that makes you more treasures, which crack for any color. But it's got to be done when the opponent draws their card, and then they have to not pay for it and all of that. So Smothering Tithe, I think, is a very good card to have. And I might, on the next version of this deck, put it in, but I've liked the way I've put it together so far, so think about that for yourself, to possibly also put in the Smothering Tithe. One more item of mana fixing and mana ramp. Cultivate. I love that this is back in standard. 3 mana sorcery. Search your library for 2 basic lands, up to 2 basic lands. Put one of them into the battlefield, tapped, and then put the other one into your hand. So this is another thing that you want to like mulligan down to. Perfect hand is that you've got the Arcane Signet and then also the Cultivate. Therefore, you can get to that Signet right away, and you can cultivate over for even more lands to do the perfect mana fixing right there. So you definitely need this as soon as possible, especially in the opening hand. And lastly, another one of these ramp/mana fixing sorts of cards here. 4 mana Circuitous Route. Search your library for up to 2 basic lands or gates. I don't have any gates here because I don't like they come in tap, but that's another way to build a mana base of this deck. There's several gates that you can get. But anyway, get those 2 lands, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. So 4 mana to draw 2 more cards. Again, if you've got the Arcane Signet or the Palladium Mirror or the Chromatic Lantern early on, you're going to be able to get this out so fast and just ramp with so much mana, the perfect colors of mana that you need, and you will have no trouble at all with mana fixing and, of course, getting more mana faster than your opponent. Okay, lands. Let's look at the lands. We've got the Gateway Plaza, so it will tap for any color of mana, but it comes into play tapped, and then you have to tap another land to keep it. So kind of a lot of hoops to get a land that taps for any color, but that might be necessary again with like triple colors. Fabled Passage, it's the fetch land where you can go get any basic land, put it into the battlefield. If you have at least 4 lands, including this one, it comes into play untapped. The Evolving Wilds is similar, but it comes into play tapped no matter what. But you'll be able to get the perfect land that you want turn 1. Command Tower auto-include nowadays in Brawl. Tap it to give yourself a mana of any color in your commander's identity. Temple Garden, it's the shock land, pay 2. It comes into play untapped, and then you can tap for any of those colors. If you don't need it right away on turn 1, then don't pay the 2. It comes in tapped, no loss. Temple of Triumph. This comes in tapped always, but it lets you scry to see what's coming next in your draws, and it taps for red or white part of the mana. And then the Sacred Foundry is the shock land that lets you do that for the Boros colors. Now you could also get the scry land for the Selesnya colors, the white and the green, to further round out the mana base. Besides that, it's just a plain old 6 forests, 6 mountains, 6 plains. So that's a little indicator there. 666, your opponents are in for trouble. And make it triple. Okay, let's talk about creatures. Starting off at the 1-drops, we've got the Selfless Savior. This is like the saddest magic card of all time. The art even solidifies it more, because this 1 mana 1/1, if you sacrifice this for free, no mana requirement, another creature gains indestructible. So if you've got Rin and Seri, it's about to get Heartless acted upon, you can sacrifice the Savior and you protect your Rin and Seri. It's killing a dog to save another thing. And then the flavor text: she raised him from an orphaned pup and gave him a life of love. With this last act, he thanked her. Oh snap! Like so many feels right here. I'm more of a cat person, and even I feel it. Next up, we've got the Resolute Watchdog, which is very similar. 1 mana for a 1/3. It cannot attack, though it's got Defender. And you do need a 1 mana outlay to do the same thing. Target creature gains indestructible. So 2 of these selfless dogs in turn 1 for you to protect your other creatures down the line. Pack Leader. This is like, you need this card, of course, in this type of deck. 2 mana, 2/2. Other dogs get +1. So that, of course, will make your Rin and Seri a 5/5. That'll make the Selfless Savior a 2/2, etc. It doesn't do it to itself. It's always a 2/2. But then when this and your other dogs attack, they all get indestructible, basically. Now, they can still be shocked later on, but when they attack, they're indestructible, dealing with combat damage. Chandra's Magmut. 2/2 for 2. Tap it to deal 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. So it doesn't have haste, so it can't do that right away. But when it no longer has summoning sickness, it can do the 1 bit of damage to that planeswalker to prevent it from getting to the ultimate or whatever. Or you can do the 1 point of damage to the opponent if it's not swinging in for damage. If you can somehow give it vigilance, and there is a way, you can make it attack and you can make it tap to do the 1 ping of damage. Igneous Cur, 2 mana, 1/2. Then you pay 2 mana to give it +2, +0 until end of turn. I've used this card so well so many times to pump this up to tremendous levels when I've built up so much mana and it can do so much damage. Flavor text is hilarious. Some dogs just aren't meant to be indoor pets, and you see in the background of the art a burning house. Underworld Ragehound. Now, so far I've shown you these 3 elemental dogs, which are actually going to get some synergy, as we will see a little bit later. 2 mana for a 3/1, and it must attack each combat. When it dies, you can escape it, come back from the graveyard for 4 mana, exile 3 other cards, and it comes back as a 4/2. So that's pretty cool. So I love the art on this one, and the concept of it also is this like really rageful elemental dog. So next up is the Savai Thundermane, the first cat as a 2-drop. You need 1 red and 1 white. It's a 3/2. Whenever you cycle a card, you may pay 2. When you do, this deals 2 damage to target creature and you gain 2 life. There really isn't a strong cycling element in this deck, but this is a 3/2 for 2, so that's why it's in here. You can have some cycling cards in here and get a little bit more of this synergy. Bronze-Hide Lion, 2 mana also, but this is green and white. You get a 3/3 on turn 2. You then pay 1 green, 1 white to give this indestructible. So maybe you need to board wipe, then you make your lion indestructible, and the only thing on the field will be a 3/3. When this dies, returns to the battlefield, it becomes an aura enchantment, and then you attach it to a creature you control, which then gives that creature the Bronze-Hide Lion's ability to become indestructible. Very utilitarian type of cat over here. I love that. In the 3-drops, we've got the Bolt Hound. I love this card a lot. 3 mana, 2/2 haste. When this attacks, other creatures get +1, +0 until end of turn. So start to build up a little bit of board presence with some of these critters of yours, then summon the Bolt Hound. Right away it's bolting out the door and giving all your other creatures a +1. Feline Sovereign. Here is the cat lord. In green, 3 mana for 2/3. Other cats get a +1, and they have protection from dogs, so not too relevant in your deck, but if your opponent happens to be playing dogs, your cats are protected. Whenever 1 or more cats you control deals combat damage to a player, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment that they control. I've used this to have my cats attack and then destroy their mana rock, and then of course they rage quit because I've ruined their plans, or have my cats destroy their wilderness reclamation and the like. Pretty amazing. Generous Stray, 1/2, draws you a card. Then again, it'll get stronger with some of these Anthem effects that I'll show you in a moment. Pride Malkin, look at that happy cat. It's a 2/1 for 3 mana. It comes in, you can put a +1 counter on itself or something else, and anything with a counter has trample. We'll see how that synergizes in a moment. Kahira the Orphan Guard, 3 mana, 2 in Hybrid Selesnya. You get a 3/2 with Vigilance. You can possibly think about companioning it into this, but then it won't actually work, because if you want a companion, you must only have cats, elementals, nightmares, dinosaurs, or beasts. Dogs don't count, so this cannot be a companion. This will, however, give a +1 to other cats, elementals, nightmares, dinosaurs, or beasts. And guess what? Some of these other dogs over here, the Magmut is an elemental dog, the Igneous Cur is an elemental dog, the Ragehound is an elemental dog, the Bolt Hound is an elemental dog. So Kahira does that +1 and Vigilance to those dogs. So like I said, you can attack with the Magmut as a 2/2 and also do the tap to do 1 bit of damage to something. So this Orphan Guard, it would have been perfect if it also had dog to make this yet another lord in the deck. I love it. Going up to the 4 drops, we've got Cub Warden. This is a 3/5 with lifelink. Beautiful. It'll become a 4/6 with Kahira or the Sovereign. I imagine having them both. You can instead mutate it for 4 mana, 2 of which is white. Mutate it onto a dog. That'll be mind-blowing. That 1/1 dog became a 3/5 cat. How does that even happen? And so then when it mutates, it creates 2 1/1 cats with lifelink. And again, when you've got some of these cat lores and other Anthem effects that we will see, those 1/1 lifelinking cats are even bigger and better. Next up, we've got Mo, Loyal Companion, 4 mana, 3/3, Vigilance and Trample. Again, with your pack leader out, it's a 4/4 Vigilance Trample. If you would put 1 counter onto this, instead put 2, so the Pride Malkin's counter could give this +2/+2. You've got a 5/5 Vigilance Trample, Swole Mo. Frondland Felidar, 4 mana, 3/5 Vigilance, and then other creatures with Vigilance have the ability to tap the opponent's creatures. I've used this card so well with Kahira to give my creatures, all creatures, Vigilance, and then the Felidar gives all of the vigilant creatures this tap ability. I've attacked, and then as I'm still declaring the attackers, then tap out their creatures to have shields down. It's pretty amazing. And then, of course, on their turn, tap out their big creatures that they're about to stomp me with. My little cats will... cats and beasts and such will instead tap out their creature. Keeper of Fables is a 4/5 for 5 mana. Whenever 1 or more non-human creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Everything's a non-human in here, so you're going to be drawing plenty of cards with this Keeper of Fables. Rambunctious Mutt, 5 mana, 3/4. When it enters the battlefield, destroy an artifact or enchantment. This is a great 2-for-1 card, especially if you're going to wreck their mana rock or their wonderful enchantment, and then you get a 3/4 dog. And then we've got the God Eternal Oketra Honorary Cat. It doesn't say it in the type line there. It wouldn't have fit. Legendary Creature Zombie Cat God, 5 mana, 3/6, double strike. So you do damage twice. And whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 4/4 zombie with Vigilance. This is amazing. This is your top end win the game. When you get out Oketra, and you'll be able to get out Oketra pretty fast with all your mana rocks and ramp and such. And then you're summoning more than 1 smaller cat or dog. You're getting so many zombies. They can be honorary cats and dogs. And of course, when it dies, it doesn't go to the graveyard. It goes back to your library, 3rd from the top. Lastly, 1 more honorary cat dog. We have Meteor Golem, 7 mana, 3/3. When it enters, destroy target non-land permanent. This is your fail-safe switch right here. If there's something on the battlefield that you're not able to get to, this will get to it, except for a land, of course. So take out their commander that's never attacking. Take out their planeswalker that's way too protected. Take out their enchantment, their artifact, their equipment, whatever. It's not a cat or a dog, but we'll let him join the family. All right, let's talk about some removal. We have Wilt, 2 mana, destroys an artifact or enchantment, and then you can cycle it, however. So there is a little bit of that synergy right there with that Thunder Mane. You wilt their important artifact or enchantment, sure, or cycle this away, and then pay the 2 for the Thunder Mane to also do 2 damage to a creature, and you gain 2 life. Banishing Light, 3 mana, exiles any target non-land permanent as long as this is on the battlefield. So get rid of that creature that's annoying you, that planeswalker, that enchantment, that artifact, that equipment, that vehicle, etc. Lastly, for removal, we've got Conclave Tribunal, 4 mana. It can be convoked down to like 0 mana if you've got just creatures. Exile a non-land permanent until this leaves the battlefield. So here's another way to get rid of just about anything. That's the removal that we've got here, exiling stuff. Now, one possible way to change up this deck with more removal is more direct damage. There's plenty of red direct damage. There's the Shock, there's the Scorching Dragonfire, there's that red X spell that'll let you do X damage to anything. There's a lot of red removal that you can put in here. Fire Prophecy, etc. So think about that. This is more of an aggro sort of go wide with some removal there. You can also think about putting 1 or 2 board wipes. Storm's Wrath in red will let you wipe all the board, basically with 4 damage to everything. Shatter the Sky, also at 4 mana, lets you wipe the whole board. Planar Cleansing if you really need to. So think about perhaps changing things up a little bit here for some board wipes. Instead of the individual pinpoint removal, you could have 1 or 2 board wipes. So think about that. Okay, so we've got some card draw, card advantage types of cards. We've got Season of Growth. 2 mana, enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. Now this will also trigger when Oketra is making these zombies. These enter the battlefield, and they will trigger Season of Growth. You get to scry 1. What's coming next? Like it, leave it on top. Don't like it, put it at the bottom. Better yet, whenever you cast a spell that targets one of your creatures, draw a card. There isn't a lot of synergy in this deck that does that. We're going to do some more of these Anthem effects, as we will see. And so you might not get too much use out of the draw part of it, but you're definitely getting use out of the scry part. Couple that with Guardian Project. This is almost an auto-including green decks. Any decks that have some green. 4 mana, enchantment. Basically, when you summon your creatures, you draw a card. That's it. There's a lot of text in there, but what this is basically saying is you have to have you have to summon a card that doesn't already exist on the battlefield or in the graveyard. And that's going to be true here because Brawl is a singleton format. You're always summoning a new copy of the thing, so you're always drawing a card. I've had amazing success with Season of Growth and the Guardian Project out at the same time, because first you scry to see if you want to draw that card. This is going to perfectly smooth out your draws, get to the card that you need. You'll have that card advantage better than your opponent. I've got a few cards in here that are known as Anthem effects. These will give something to all of your creatures. And so the first one is Glorious Anthem. 3 mana, all your creatures get +1/+1, the end. So even the smallest 1/1 creature is a 2/2. Imagine getting this, and then you've also got Oketra as a 4/7 double strike. Beautiful. Related to that, we've got Ferocity of the Wilds, 3 mana in red. All attacking non-human creatures get +1 and trample. So get a little bit more damage passed with the Ferocity of the Wilds in red when they attack. And here's the last one. It's not exactly an anthem, but it's kind of like it, sort of. 3 mana enchantment. Creature spells you control cannot be countered, so stop all your creatures from being countered. And then non-token creatures you control have Riot. So when these enter the battlefield, you can either make them come in with an extra +1, or you can give it haste. So this is sort of like that Anthem effect, or you get to choose if you want something to come in and attack really fast. Like what about if you Riot your Oketra and it comes in with a hasting 3/6 double strike? Or you give it with the +1 counter, and again, that's a 4/7 double strike. And if you've got these other things like the Glorious Anthem, it's even stronger. So Rhythm of the Wild is a really cool pseudo-anthem effect. So there you go, that was my build. What did you think about it? Now personally, I love to really build Brawl decks with a lot of stipulations, very tribal, very on theme. That's the best way for me to enjoy this format, or most formats of Magic. And like, it's very focused, it's very tribal. It's not about getting like the best card that exists in the universe to fill my 3-drop. It's about getting the best card that exists for the tribal and stipulation aspect of my deck. I hope you think that way too, that this is a great way to express yourself in Magic, building really like on-brand, tribal, that sort of fun, casual aspect of it all. If you want to play like the completely, CEDH or C-Brawl aspect of it, you can go off to that corner over there and do that. But over here, where we're playing a little bit more casual and fun, I hope this deck really speaks to you. Tell me what you think about it. How could we improve it? What did I miss about it? What about if we go with Historic Brawl? What would you do in Historic Brawl? I would think about Pillar of Origins in there, Unclaimed Territory, and the like. Tell me all about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, all that good stuff. Maybe head on over to my Patreon, patreon.com/vmcampos. Think about becoming part of the VMC crew by pledging at $1 per month. You get access to exclusive stuff then. Or at the $2 range, I'll actually mail you some real vintage Magic cards from my collection. No, not a Black Lotus. If you can't pledge at the moment, no problem. Simply follow for free on the Patreon to be alerted to everything that I do. I stream every Saturday, 11 p.m. Pacific Time. Come hang out with me as I play Magic, talk strategy, do 1v1s, etc. every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Pacific Time. If you're more into comics, every Saturday morning at 11:30 a.m. I do a live show where I talk about the comics that are coming out that I really care about. And throughout the week, I do videos on Magic and comics and tech and food and like all that fun stuff. Be sure to subscribe. This has been VM Campos, and I'll see you in the Brawlers Guild Hall.